Hey everyone, welcome to episode 98 of the Penciled In podcast. Lindsay and myself are welcoming Christian LeBlanc today. Christian is going to talk to us about something we've never talked on the podcast before, which has to do with anaglyph cards and 3D and everything you need to know about those cards. And if you decide to hire him, what you need to send him. Welcome to the show, Christian. Nice to have you.
Hi. Hi, very nice to talk with you both. How are you doing?
Hi, Christian. We usually start by going back to a bit of history, and I'm curious to know if you've always had an interest in trading cards.
They've always been there. They haven't been like my biggest thing in my life at any point, I don't think, but you know, I came up in the 90s when trade probably I don't know if that would be trading cards heyday, but no, in the 80s too. You know, um, my older sister had Michael Jackson trading cards, of course, and I would get into the Gremlins trading cards and things like that. And I remember in the I forget if it was 1989 or something. There was like a horror set of trading cards that came out with like stills from the horror movies and little jokes on them, and that like warped my little mind. I was traumatized, but like it really got me into horror later on.
I love horror. Horror's awesome.
Oh,
Um, so what was it that inspired these? First of all, maybe you should explain to us what these cards are because I haven't got a clue.
yeah. Well, the reason I'm here is because I convert images into 3D that you need like the red blue 3D glasses for like these sort of things.
Yeah, I have a
What we're
pair
talking
somewhere.
about. And I'll talk about different ways that we can view 3D as well as we go along. But yeah, I know you generally talk to artists on this
Yes.
podcast. I'm different in that what I do is a type of art, but I can't produce any art on my own without another artist first. I uh, I alter someone else's artwork to produce these 3D images.
So the thing is, you're taking a flat piece of art
Hmm.
and then you're changing it so that I have my 3D glasses somewhere there. Oh, here they are.
Yeah.
And then you wear, as you showed, you wear these, and just like when you go to the movies, you see everything as if it's 3D. It's really cool. You've done some cards for me. You've done lots of cards for RR Parks.
Hmm.
Um, I saw a sample on your website where you have like a whole panel, a cartoon panel, I think.
Hmm.
And if you wear the glasses, even looking on your screen, I highly recommend people going to go see that because it is really amazing, in my
At
opinion.
3dcomics.ca.
Yeah, all right, good stuff. Send them over there.
Yeah.
And you really should go check it out. If you have 3D glasses, go look at that image, cartoon image. It's amazing. So, how did you manage to find that idea to do that in the first place?
To get into it. What happened was years ago, I had won an iPad from HMV. By the way, HMV, are they still a thing in the UK?
We've still got an HMV, yeah. Yeah, I
Okay,
think
that,
they do what they sell the most of is vinyl because
yeah,
that's the only thing that's really collectible. I mean, some people do still collect CDs, but vinyl is what's keeping them alive, really.
yeah, yeah.
It's funny because that's what they were in the beginning.
Right, right. I mean, they do spin around, it's circular. But yeah, what got me into it was that from an HMV here in Canada, I was buying gift cards for Christmas one year for my sister, and I didn't realize it automatically entered me into a contest with my loyalty card or something, and I ended up winning an iPad, and I had, which is great because I never would have spent like $1,000 for a little tablet. That's,
Yeah.
well, I didn't have $1,000 for a tablet for one thing, so. Anyway, I was playing around on it, and there were some free apps. One was involved like converting images into 3D. So I thought, okay, I'm just playing around with different things, right? So Michael Allred, who does Madman Comics, was is my favorite artist. So of course, the first thing I do is take a bunch of his images and play around. And I'd already talked to him several times before. There was a message board that he and his fans would interact on, and I had met him in person in Montreal at a comic convention in 2009. So we sort of knew each other somewhat. I emailed him my the conversions that I had done, which I have to stress to you were very rudimentary. Some were even Some even had the depths reversed, like you would have had to use the glasses backwards to get them to work. I didn't know what I was doing. But he liked them, and I emailed and said, "Gosh, shucks, I hope you don't mind my doing this with your pictures, Mr. Allritzer." But he enjoyed them well enough to say, would you like to have do a 3D pinup for me in an upcoming special, like just a pinup?" And if
Wow.
you've never had your mind blown before, what happens for me, it's like the first time you have wasabi. Your mind, everything gets hot in your head, and everything goes white and blank, and you freak out a little bit, and then you calm down and you say, yes, I'll definitely do that. What I did next was just throw myself into learning all about 3D. I went to 3dphoto.net, had a forum where it's mostly for 3D photographers, which we'll talk about shortly too. But there are some experts there in stereo conversion, and they sort of gave me advice and tips as I was learning how to do it because I wanted to become really good because, again, I stress how important Michael Allred's art was to me. So I figured if I couldn't become the best in the world at stereo conversion, I would find someone else to do it for him because he deserved the best. But I didn't want anyone else to do it. So I learned, everything I could, and that's how I
Are there very many people who do what
3D.
you do?
What's that?
Are there very many people who do what you do?
Yes and no. There's like 3D is very niche. And I think it has that in common with trading cards, if I were to guess.
Yeah.
And that it's like there's not a lot of people doing it, but those who do it out of like the joy and love, I think. And I know sometimes in the past 3D has gotten a bad rap for being like a novelty, but I'll explain how much work is involved in doing it, and I can promise I'm not. This isn't just a quick novelty thing.
So it was more rather than it being cards specifically, it was the 3D that interested you. Did
Yeah,
you
yeah. And cards sort of grew from there, which I'll get into. But
was there times when you were younger where you got a certain thing and it came with a free pair of 3D glasses and you were like, ooh, that kind
oh,
of
I still remember a box of Shreddies when I was a kid. It had a free little Dukes of Hazzard mini comic that was in 3D with like the white background with the cyan and red and the 3D glasses, and I would just like stare at that for so long.
I'd forgotten about those things. My gosh,
Oh
totally
yeah.
forgotten about that. Yeah. I remember.
That's awesome. So if somebody wanted to get one of their cards made in 3D,
Hmm.
how would they go about it?
Yeah, just with me or just in general if they wanted to do this on their own.
With you.
Yeah,
With
Yeah,
you.
yeah. Yeah, just message me. Like I have a contact form on my website at 3dcomics.ca. We'll talk about it. And
all right. So walk us through the process of how you take a piece of art and does it take a lot of machinery? What do you need to do? I
yeah,
don't have any samples here, but say you had I don't know, a flat piece of art. Does a photograph on a card work, or does it need to be art?
anything like the higher resolution, the better. But I'll briefly explain how 3D works
Okay.
first. Like you and I are technically seeing in 3D right now. Like if you close one eye gets a view. If you close the other eye gets a view. So we're seeing these two separate views that our brains merge into one, right? And we see depth, and we talk about depth perception and all of that.
Yeah.
And these 3D glasses are doing the same thing. What happens is that you get an image on your screen or on paper that's blurry. Like this is called an anaglyph. You can see how there's the red and the blue separations
Yes.
and kind
Yes.
of separate.
Mm.
So this is two separate views happening at the same time. And what these glasses do is that the red lens puts one of the two images into this eye, and the cyan lens puts the other image into this eye, and then our brains merge those two images, and we see that same an approximation of the depth that we see normally with our two eyes, right? So it's sort of artificially feeding us the two different images and merging them into one. Does
And
that make
that's what
sense?
makes it, that's so we kind of invent the depth perception thing ourselves. Is that how it works?
Yeah, and that's why they call it an illusion of depth. I always used to get mad at that phrase because like, no, I'm my images are really deep. It's no illusion, but yeah, it is an illusion because on this flat image, there's no depth really until you put the glasses on and it gives you that illusion that there's something there.
So
Okay.
how many? So say when I understand how they do a lenticular and they kind of layer it.
Hmm.
Is it a similar process?
It's related, yeah. Um, and we'll go into like the process of creating 3D and go back into lenticulars there because they're related. There's a couple of different ways of getting the two images, like just showing you this image with the red and the blue on it doesn't really tell you how it's made.
No.
You know, I think especially like me too, when I first learned about it, like what do you do? Do you draw blue onto the image? Do you draw red onto the image? And that's how it works. That's not how it works, but
Is it in the software with channels and things like that?
somewhat, you know. It in the past, like there are 3D comic books have been around for decades, and people then had to draw onto acetate for their second layer or for their second of the two images. And we'll keep that point in mind. It's just that you need one image and a second image, and we combine them into 3D. So an artist will draw the first image, and then it's up to the conversionist to produce. It'll look like the same image except drawn from a slightly different angle, is all it is.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so there's different ways of doing that. In the old days, someone might draw onto copy it onto acetate and make the differences there.
Mm.
Um, Ray Zone was very, very popular for a number of years doing 3D. He was the only name in 3D for a long time, pretty much. And he would take the original page of artwork, and that would be what he'd take a picture, that would be the image, and then he'd cut it into layers and just physically move the layers around. And as you can imagine, that would make a little gap where you cut it out and moved it over. So in that gap, you'd have to just draw in the rest of the details in the background to
I
make it.
assume it's a little bit easier nowadays with computers and technology and everything,
Yes and
rather than sitting and drawing on acetate. I mean, I don't know. I'm just
yeah.
guessing.
Yes and no. I say yes because you don't have to physically cut them out, and I say no. It kind of makes it harder because you can do more complicated things than you could do physically.
Mm.
So in Photoshop, what I do is I work with two images side by side. Um, because there's different ways of viewing 3D. There's the glasses, I think, are the easiest for most people. But there's also something called free view, where you look at two images side by side, and you can either cross your eyes and merge the two images that way and see the depth. Or there's also a parallel view, where you have to flip the images and then your eyes kind of diverge a little bit. And
What's the magic eye ones? Do you remember the ones where you relax your
yeah,
eyes
yeah,
and it
Magic Eye
fuzz
is
and
an
the image
example.
comes out?
Yeah, Magic Eye is an example of parallel view.
Right.
So a lot of people are either one or the other will come naturally to them. Like for me, it was crossview, like crossing my eyes and the two images would merge and I'd see 3D without the glasses, which was great because then all the original colors are intact. But parallel view is the magic eye. And looking back, that makes sense because if you use the wrong method, the depth will reverse. So let's say a ball is supposed to be flying out at you. It'll look, if you're using the wrong way, the ball will look like it's way far away.
Wow.
And if you're really bored and curious and you want to know what the wrong depth looks like, just take your 3D glasses and wear them the wrong way for a few seconds, and you'll
Oh,
see like everything is wrong. But
oh.
yeah, that's how I'll work in 3D is I'll have two images set up side by side on my screen and I'll cross my eyes to see the depth as I like cut out little pieces and move them around. And you can get really complicated. Like you can use Photoshop items like skew and tilt and distort and everything. And so instead of like just moving a flat image left and right, now it's tilted a little bit. So instead of looking here to here, it'll come out gradually at you.
Wow.
So someone might be pointing a sword or something, and that sword will be like instead of just like on its own layer, it'll be just coming out like you just it's almost like sculpting little dioramas.
I think I'd have to actually look at some of these things to really understand it.
It takes a while of getting used to looking at 3D and knowing what you're looking at.
Like
Like I could,
3D cars, to be very honest with you, the few ones that I had seen, well, I'm familiar with lenticular because for my own stuff, I've used lenticular and for other people's projects too. However, the 3D, I don't know. I just thought you just copied the image and then skewed it a bit or something and made it a different color or whatever, but that's obviously not what you do. Yours in particular are really like they're really deep. They're
Intricate.
yeah, they're really intricate and you really get a sense of depth.
yeah, well, when I'm working on these, it's with the understanding that I'm not like a visual artist and that like I want to honor the art that I'm working on, right? Like I don't just want to do a cheap like art is really hard and it's really beautiful and it's important that I like honor every drop of ink that's on there. But with that, I understand that some images are going to get more attention than others. Like I'm working on a book for Dennis Kitchen right now, and he has these really intricate, lovely drawings that he'll do, and those ones you can really treat like a sculpture. Like you can round out little bits of muscle here, or just like shape everything and make sure it all fits together. And on a trading card, you don't really have that degree of depth that you can get away with. So sometimes it does have to be a little. We call it
Are
like
you
cardboard cutout style, where it's the flat layers.
so you're restricted by the size of the piece you're working on?
Sometimes, or by time. Like if Richard
Mm.
Parks gives me 36 cards to work on, it's like, okay, I don't have all the time to be precious. And what's what's a little bit humbling is I could spend countless hours on a piece, detailing it into like a perfect little sculpture or diorama. But I could also take that same image and just do the cardboard cutout style and be a lot quicker. And it's like, it's 90% as good, if we're being honest.
Yeah,
All
yeah.
right, so explain what it is you do. Because now you've been talking a lot about comics, I'm sorry. You obviously do a lot of comics. Can you also do it to a painting or a different style of illustration?
Yeah, any image basically. Like you could take a photograph, and I've done that with Richard Parks for all his like Ultraman and Mystery Science Theater. Those will be photos that I'll do the same process on. I'll cut out layers and move them around and fill in the backgrounds with Photoshop.
Can you use any kind of photograph or image, or are there particular types of illustration or photos that work better?
No, you can do it with anything, but I've learned over the years how to find an image that might work better in depth than something else. So one time there was I was offered a 3D alternate cover for the Rick and Morty Dungeons and Dragons special, which is interesting because I wasn't into Rick and Morty back then. I was like, okay, this
Oh,
could
I
be.
love Rick and Morty.
Yeah, I got into it over the
I'm
last
obsessed.
year. I got into it over the last year or so, and I realized, oh, this is just Doctor Who, but he's like a real awful doctor.
It's Back to the Future, isn't it? The parody.
Yeah. No, and I'm glad that I watched it later on, like into eight seasons in, because you get that character development. I think if I had seen the Vat of Acid episode on its own, I was like, oh my God, screw the show. I can't with this guy. He's the hero. No, we're done.
I love that episode. Mind you, I like most of them, to be fair.
Yeah. Anyway, before my digression, my point was that I was offered two different images that I could convert for it. One of them was everyone is sort of standing side by side, and I love the picture, I love the artist, but everyone's side by side, so it doesn't make for a good 3D conversion because you don't get as much of a sense of depth. But the one that I went with was Rick and Morty were trapped in a gelatinous cube, and they're sort of angled more towards the viewer. Like I think he's got like a little sword pointing that I was able to angle, and they're reaching toward a 20-sided die, which I find somehow geometry works really well in 3D as well. Like if you have like a cube or a sphere or different shapes like that, somehow that just really highlights the 3D and kind of makes it fun.
Okay, so
That's so cool.
you would need an image then that that to begin with you had kind of wanted to have a lot of depth to whatever
Yeah.
whatever style it is. I don't know how to explain this is really all new for both Lindsey and I. This is
Well,
hard to
the
get our heads around.
yeah, well, working with Richard Parks was interesting because at first, well, the first trading cards that I did, let me just go back a little bit first. Um, I did the Michael Allred that I talked about earlier. I ended up, my mistake was that I ended up getting good enough at 3D that he said, "Hey, instead of a pinup, do you want to do an 80-page comic special?" And you don't say no to that. When life gives you an opportunity like that, you just figure out how it's going to work later on. And that's what I did. And because I didn't know how much time was going to be involved in this,
Did
as
you
you,
enjoy the challenge?
for the most part, I enjoyed the challenge. Times when I'd be up at 3 in the morning making coffee to come down off the energy drink that I'd had. And I'd think to myself, wow, I've never done hard drugs, but this can't be that far off from that. That was
Oh,
a little different. Like it is a huge time investment if you want to do it right, because you not only have to cut apart an image and move everything around and test the depth and make sure it works, but you then have to patch those gaps that were left. So you're copying and pasting sections, maybe you're drawing where you just can't. I remember one image I had to replace or draw where some two people were holding hands. So I found like a like a manga romance image that I swiped and traced over and implemented into the image. So there's
so,
a lot of work from start to finish in what you're doing.
so you really are taking the image and cutting it,
Hmm.
and then putting it on its own layer, I suppose, in Photoshop or something, or whatever it is you use.
Yeah, so when I like for let me just show you, this is a collection of 3D Madman trading cards that came out lately in book form. And I am very, very proud of seeing All Red LeBlanc on the front
Wow.
of the book. I was there might have been some tears when I saw that at first,
Interesting.
but anyway, what I would do with to start off, I would cut out this figure, and that would be one image, or one layer rather, at first. I'd cut out this, and that would be one layer at first, and I'd cut out the yo-yo, and that would be one layer at first. Um, this will then become a group of layers. So maybe the bottom of the foot will be a layer. This section will be a layer. This part of the thigh will be a layer. The thumb will be a layer. The back finger will be a layer. It's just
Wow.
everything. Just
Okay.
think of like somebody making like a puppet or animating a puppet somehow or animation. So everything that I want to do in depth separately will get its own layer in this layer group.
So you're saying it's quite a niche market like trading cards. Are there a lot of hardcore collectors of 3D images then, would you say?
I don't know that there's hardcore collectors of 3D images. There are hardcore fans like the New York Stereoscopy Association are a lovely group of people, and they've had me on their show before to talk about 3D conversion and things. And
Mm.
so, those that love it a lot, but it's just
Well, we're both like really, really new to it, so and I don't even, have you ever done any 3D cards for some of the bigger trading card companies or
I mean, I consider Richard Parks one of the bigger trading
well,
card
it is,
companies. So,
yes. It goes
so I'm
without
going to say
saying.
yes, and you were going to say, "Oh, you poor summer child," or something.
Oh, so you because I haven't seen that many really 3D cards for any other set.
Yeah, like in terms of fame, I'm going to say that my biggest brush with fame was like the Rick and Morty cover, which nobody saw. So what does that tell you?
Well, they
And then
wouldn't
the
now.
Madman 3D special, the 80-page comic, was through Image Comics, which people have heard of.
Oh,
So that
wow.
was for your first, by the way, for your first project to be an 80-page comic, and you're not sure how it's going to look on paper because you know theoretically that it should work. That is nerve-wracking, let me tell
The
you.
pressure.
When the copies arrived, most people, if they've worked on a comic and they get their copies in the mail, they're like, "Oh, my pride and joy, I'm so happy." I was like, "Oh my God, I hope this works." And then you're flipping through the pages and it's like, "This works. This is good. Okay."
Wow. That's impressive. That's really something. So you've kind of grown since then. Do you do it all the time now?
Pretty much all the time in the background. I'd love to work more on just my own projects, like just for fun, like I used to. But there's usually someone that's not a lot. It's not like I'm doing this constantly or anything. But as I finish one project, someone else might come along, like Richard Parks or Christopher Irving, who I've done these 3D cards with, and there's always just like a little something to keep my foot in it, so I guess I don't get rusty. I'm not a constant producer of 3D because it's so time consuming.
So you're not, are you looking for new, like, would you be happy if people knocked on your door to ask you to do more cards or books or whatever?
I'm happy if they understand that it might take a while. But yeah, I love, art and I love being able to work on this and see by the time I'm done working on a 3D image, I'm always surprised. Like I can take a look at a flat two-dimensional image and think this is going to look pretty cool, but it's still a brand new thing I've never seen before by the time it's done. That kind of fascinates me.
That would be so cool for some of your work, Lindsay. Your Kitty Erie.
3D. I bet it is so cool seeing it all finished and done though.
It is
Because I
nice.
bet you've got an image in your head of how you think it's going to look, and does it usually match up by the end of it?
Sometimes it'll surprise me. Occasionally, I might take an image that I think is going to work really well, and it doesn't do it for me like I thought it would. But by and large, what's more likely to happen is that, Richard Parks will say, Christian, you have to do this image. And I'll secretly think to myself, I don't know. It's not, I don't see how it's going to look good, but yeah, it does. It ends up looking really cool. And that's why if Richard and I have kind of both developed an eye for finding images that would look pretty good in 3D. We could kind of both learn that as we went along. And
Okay, describe what that image is. If someone wanted to send you something to be converted into 3D,
Mhm.
what do they need to send you?
Yeah, well, the images, to me, what will work better in 3D is if there's like a foreground, a midground, and a background. Do I have all the grounds? Have I covered all the ground here? But yeah, if it just goes from like back to front, I've said before that if people are just standing side by side, there's what I do isn't going to do much for the image. But if there's like somebody standing far away, someone standing closer, someone standing straight up, and what will also work too is that if you have an image, see, that how that yo-yo, it's not cut off by the side of the page or anything.
Yeah.
That means that you can bring it out in depth very far towards the viewer. And I love just sticking stuff way up. I love that feeling of like pointing at an image with your 3D glasses on and just trying to touch because it looks like it's standing up off the page and it looks like you can touch it. I love that feeling. It's you don't outgrow
Like,
it.
I was going to say, it's like being a kid again.
Yeah, yeah.
My son used to draw. He used to draw them when he was about 4. You know the ones that are stretched. So if you look at them from an angle, they look like they're standing up.
Oh yeah.
He
Yeah,
used to do tons of those.
yeah.
It is pretty fascinating when you're a kid. All the different effects you can see.
It is really. And
Yeah.
yeah, I used to have a He-Man Masters of the Universe magazine where they did that for some reason. And yeah, you look at it straight on and it's like distorted and stretched and it's like, what is this? And then you tilt the page and it's like, whoa, your mind is blown because you're seeing this perfect image now.
I mean, that's something I've not seen on trading cards, to be honest. The stretch thing and the could be an idea. Might be fun.
It'd be cheap because you know how you have like the backs of the 9 cards and they create one giant image, right?
Yeah.
You
Mm,
could do that with like 3 cards at a time, right?
that would be so cool.
Oh, I
Yeah, it
love
Yeah.
just
that
makes one,
idea.
maybe just makes one big image pop up.
Yeah, you'd have to keep it on a table or something,
Ingrid's thinking now. She's like,
Yeah.
crouched
maybe.
Yeah,
down
oh,
next to
oh.
the
Oh, yeah, I got an idea now. I got an idea.
table. And honestly, that would be so easy to do because you just take an image in Photoshop and just stretch it downwards and then chop that into
Mhm.
3 cards and you're done.
Well, I would be thinking 9 cards.
Mm.
Mm.
That would be
Oh
really,
yeah, yeah, yeah. No, yeah, I could do that too.
hmm. Well, I'll be getting back to you. Okay. So, like, I was trying to look for samples. Like, even on your website, you do have a couple of samples of this. but you don't have a ton.
No, I need to do a ton.
Yes,
Part
please,
part
because
of
it's difficult for someone like I'm totally new like Lindsay is. It's kind of like, well, what makes a 3D card so special? I mean, these are things you had when you were a kid, and it was fun, but it wasn't, well, it didn't blow my mind anyways.
right.
But it actually, I've seen your work and it's like, whoa, you did some of the UFO cards for me, and they're flat images. But then
Mhm.
when you put the glasses on and it's like, wow, it's pretty impressive actually. You know,
Yeah, and tell people what's the easiest way to find those cards when they come out. That
well,
set.
they contact me. That's what
Oh,
they
okay.
do. And then what the campaign is over, but they're all
Oh, okay. Yeah.
the campaign is over. But yeah, they're gonna have a nine subset of your work.
Mm.
So and it's really surprisingly fun. It's really, really cool.
Those are
I
fun.
think it's
Yeah.
probably developed quite a bit from when we were young and we had our 3D glasses, and things get better and better, don't they?
Is it anything like what you see when you go to the movies, which actually gives me motion sickness when I put these things, when I put the
Yeah.
glasses on and look at the movie, it's kind of like, whoa, it's
Yeah, and
the
it is
same
the same
principle?
process because you have those polarized glasses that you have from the theater and that you steal from the theater if you have a 3D TV at home because they'll work for that too. And but yeah, each image is getting a different eye so that there's two images on the movie screen at one time, and those polarized lenses will parse it out so that each each of your eyes is getting a different view, like it's the same thing from different angles. And
Cool.
let's just take a moment to talk about how those are made.
Please.
Yeah, because ideally you have a stereo camera setup so that you have two different cameras that are side by side filming at the same time, and that sort of approximates your eyeballs seeing in depth. And that's more fun because the people making movies who know about 3D are sort of setting it up with those depths and angles in mind. So they kind of try to frame their scene so that it's takes advantage of the depth. Most of the time when you see movies that have been converted into 3D, they start with like just the flat image of a movie. No offense to movie aficionados because I know that's calling it flat is an insult, sorry. But you take the two-dimensional image of a movie, and when it's in depth, it wasn't designed with 3D in mind. So it might have a lot of pictures of, or it might have a lot of scenes of people just standing side by side. And that's why when you have the 3D glasses on, you forget that you're watching a 3D movie after maybe 15 minutes because there's no reason for it.
Yeah.
Uh, I'd really love to see Friday the 13th Part 3 in 3D. Like I have the red and blue glasses, but they just kill my eyes after a little while.
Yeah.
It's funny how your brain gets used to what you're seeing, doesn't it? Like
Hmm.
I hear people talking about, say, like Jurassic Park when that came out, and
Hmm.
the way they kept swapping between CGI and puppetry to keep tricking your brain so you don't kind of figure out it's fake. Do you know what I mean? Like
Yeah,
it,
yeah.
because if you observe it for too long, your brain just goes.
Yeah.
Oh, it's
That
true.
makes sense because, like I said before, like we see out of two eyes and our brain converts those two images into depth. So we're seeing in depth all the time, but we're used to it, aren't we?
Mm,
The
yeah,
uh,
yeah.
the fake 3D with the red and blue glasses or the polarized lenses is fun because something about it is it's not true 3D like we see with the left and right eyes. And I think because it's not true, it sets it off somehow. It
Mm,
just sort of makes it unique. Like I
Okay.
heard one person from 3dphotonet.forum or 3dphoto.net forum say, and shame on me for forgetting his name right now, but he said in 3D, the space between images is more beautiful than the images themselves.
Oh,
And
wow.
you sort of, when you're looking at 3D and enjoying it, you sort of get that sense.
mm.
I have to be careful saying that because, I'd insult every artist I've ever worked with, but
I suppose the space in between is the fascinating bit, though, isn't it? Because you've seen the image 2D,
yeah,
and that's what's pushing it out at you, I guess.
yeah. And you
Mm.
can do this really easily at home too, just with a normal camera. They call it the cha-cha method because you shuffle side to side. But what you do is you just take a photo and just move the camera over a little bit and take another photo, and there's your two images. And you can use a free program like StereoPhotomaker, and it will combine those two images into depth for you. Like it'll apply the red and the blue, or you can do side by side in whatever format. You can even process it so that you can put it on a thumb drive and look at it on your 3D television with your glasses you've stolen from the movie theater.
That's cool. I've never heard of that.
Yeah.
I've
So
never heard of that.
no, it's this. There's like, pardon the pun, it's beneath me, but there's a lot of depth to what you can do in it and how you can produce it and how you can see it and all that.
Sounds like there is, excuse me, hay fever season. It sounds like there is a whole world to this 3D thing that well, I've never heard of. Like this, you need to really know what you're doing. It must be a little bit like of an aficionado or something if you're a fan of 3D. Uh, are there a lot of people? I think you mentioned that before, that there are some people, but maybe not so many.
Yeah, well, one guy I've worked with, Charles Barnard, he's really, really good at this 3D as well, and we've worked together on the League of Extraordinary Gentlemen comic, The Tempest. And this was, I think I grew a lot working on 3D because as I told you when I was working on the Mike Allred comic, I wanted to be the best in the world. And shortly after my book came out, he had a book come out as well of 3D conversions that he had done. And I had to order this book to see, what the competition was up to. And I flipped through it and I was like, damn it, this is really good. That son of a So I figured I could either live my life and die mad about it, or I could reach out and try to be friends with this guy and, just share our experiences and our stories and work together. And that was the best thing I ever did because he's a really sweet person and really great to work with. And we fans of each other's work and getting to work with each other on that Tempest book was fascinating because our working styles are very, very similar. So there might be panels in that book where we can't remember who did what. I might have cut out the images and he might have shifted them around in depth and the other one might have patched them. Like we just experimented with different working methods on that and it was fun.
That's awesome.
Do you have, are there like associations for people who do things like this? Do you have like groups?
The one I'm aware of the most is the New York Stereoscopic Association. They're a group. They meet, I think they meet mostly virtually. I don't know if they meet in an online space anymore or an in-person space anymore. But look them up on YouTube, NYSA, New York Stereoscopic Association. I
Okay.
think I think that's a good introduction into just the type of cool people that are into it and
This whole 3D thing, it makes me think a lot of some of the old classic techniques they used for movies and stuff like that.
Hmm.
That maybe a lot of people didn't really know about until later, and then everybody finds out about it, and it's like, oh my God, this is what they did. So it's awfully interesting to hear you describe how you actually do it. Um, but I don't see a lot of 3D things. Do you in the UK, Lindsay?
No, I mean the last big hoo-ha about 3D was obviously 3D movies. Like there was that whole period. Was it around? Is it in the 90s or early 2000s? I can't remember exactly when it
I want to
was.
say yeah, like mid 2000s to
Mm.
early 2010s, I'm
I remember
thinking.
taking my
A
kids to the
bit
movies and
late.
they had 3D and I didn't really like it.
Yeah, and I know, every time a 3D movie came out, people would say, "Oh, it's just a cash grab," and it was most of the time, if we're being honest. It was a cash grab. They would just,
I mean, if you're using like a technique like that, it's good to try and do something different and new with it and stuff that you can't do with
yeah,
anything else. And
yeah.
I think there's probably more to explore with it, in my opinion,
Oh,
because
definitely.
you know people have kind of been leaving it alone, not paying too much attention, and not thinking how maybe you could make it work with other things. And
Yeah.
I think there's room for potential there, definitely.
Do you have ideas that you'd like to play with for your own work, Christian?
Sometimes. Actually, one thing that I've experimented with doing images for fun is like I love the artwork so much, but when you convert it into the red and blue for the glasses, because this is the quickest way to see something. Like if you're both coming out with a set of some 3D trading cards, like a subset, you can't afford to put a 3D tablet in every pack of cards to make sure you can see it that way.
No.
This is obviously the easiest way to do that. Um, I've often thought too, like it would be more costly because you'd have to like print twice as many cards, but you could print one card with one image and another card with the second image so that people could put them side by side and free view it and see it like cross their eyes or flip them around in parallel view instead and see the
I would
depth.
have to come with instructions because like you're describing this and I still don't quite get it.
No, and it took me like when I learned how to free view, it took me a little while to learn how to do the cross view. Like it it was fairly simple, but it still took a few minutes. The other method where you diverge your eyes parallel view, that took me about 9 months to figure out. Like, I don't mean that I was like doing that from when I woke up to when I went to bed or anything, but I'd
Yeah.
try it and it's like, no, this isn't working. I try it, it's not working. Eventually, I figured out that I was so nearsighted that I had to take my glasses off and hold the images right up to my face, and then I was able to, my eyes would sort of blur those two images together and I'd see it that way. Oh, I know a good way of describing it. If you hold your two fingers together like this and look far away, they tell you that you can see like a hot dog in the middle.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's your
Oh
two,
yeah,
that's
you have to cross your eyes or something until you see your two.
sort of, yeah, that's
That's weird. Yeah.
Yeah, that's if you can do that, if you can like hold your fingers up to each other and look far off in the distance and it looks like there's something floating in the middle, that's where your two eye images are overlapping those two different views.
Hmm.
So with the free view that I'm talking about, your eyes will those images will blend towards each other and then just sort of click and lock,
Okay.
sort of see the depth and let your eyes wander around the page.
Hmm. Sounds like fun, actually.
It's kind of fun. Like
Something you do after a glass of wine, maybe? No?
I've often thought about that. Like, if I get drunk, will I like free view naturally? Will my eyes naturally cross? But
I don't know. I don't know. I don't know if that's a good thing to try. So,
yeah, I didn't want to get into that. But yeah, some images will. Let's say you have an image in 3D of like an asteroid explosion or something like that, right? I like the freedom that gives me because then I can gradually work on the depth. Like I want to have it so that your eyes will wander around the page comfortably. So this part of shrapnel might be closer, but this one is set back a little in depth, and this is a little in depth, so that your eyes will get used to moving around the page.
okay.
Actually, like if you have something really close and it's next to something that's really far away, your eyes are going to have a little more trouble with moving from one thing to another.
Do you need then to have linear images, strictly linear?
They don't have to be. As long as it's not a whole page of just flat color, as long as it's not that, I can convert anything into 3D. It's just that some images are going to look more striking than others because of how they're arranged.
All right. Question. The painting behind you,
Hmm.
is that something you could possibly do, or is that like, nope, that's just, there's not enough there?
Yeah. To me, I don't think the effects would be as striking.
Okay.
It'd probably be like a good source of like a magic eye or something, because then you could just, like if you wanted to, you could create depth. Like we're talking about cutting out images and moving the images back and forth. Like technically, if you wanted, you could cut out a section of the blue and move that around so that you'd see it would look like a square was cut out of the image or something like a little pits. I know this is unfair to talk about and describe because we can't see what I'm talking about, but
No, I do understand that, but it's the only way that I can figure it out, sort of, like what the best things you would need to have, or if you really could do it with just anything. But it seems to be a bit of a creative, like a lot of creativity on your part too, because you need to decide what you're going to cut, right?
yeah, yeah, and oftentimes like the image will tell you where to put things.
Okay.
Like Michael Allred is a really good artist to work with because some artists know their way around depth, and some of them are just like faking it, and it's horrible. And for the artists that have a good sense of depth, they're more draftsman-like. That means that I can tilt and angle the floor, and I'll have this character standing on the floor, and he'll be standing next to this character who's standing a little further on the floor, and their feet have to line up with the floor in depth. Otherwise, it looks like they're floating above it or sinking into it. And if the artist has a good sense of depth, then everything will sort of click and lock into place naturally. If their sense of depth isn't as good, then you have to cheat the depth. Maybe something that should have been out further, I'll have to hold it back a little more because it doesn't line up with something else
Mm.
because of just of how it's drawn.
So there's a lot of you in every 3D project that you create, actually, because you
I,
make a lot of creative decisions. You have to decide what comes forward, what doesn't, uh, stuff like that.
yeah, and you have to decide how deep you want to make the image as well. Like, I love depth, and I think my eyes have gotten fairly strong from working on 3D for so long, so I can handle a lot of depth, but that can also be very complicated and hard to view. So you don't want it to be so shallow that there's no point to having a 3D image. But you do want to have enough depth so that it's fun and your eyes get to wander around the picture and have fun looking at everything and focusing on the different items that are at different levels in depth. But you don't want it to ever be so deep that you just can't look at it anymore.
No, I don't know if that would be possible. There was an image you did, Lindsay, once, the cat with the feet flailing and the tail moving.
Oh,
No,
yeah, that was the lenticular, wasn't it?
that was
The
a lenticular,
moving one.
Oh,
Yeah.
cool.
but it was really cool. Like, I don't know, I totally see your cats or whatever, but as a 3D, can you make the images like move a little bit, not just depth? Or is it simply depth? That's already a lot right there, but I'm wondering, like,
If
because
you can combine
yeah,
movement within it, or
Yeah, people who are animators would like what I do, cutting up the layers. An animator could, I think, could take that and just, the forearm that I've separated out, they could start like waving it around as an animator now that it's been
so
separated.
you could actually do something that has depth and movement.
Not me, but someone working with a talented animator. Yeah.
Oh,
Um, but combining the depth and the animation, yeah, I think that could work. It's harder for me to wrap my mind around that right now, but
sounds like an experiment.
yeah, yeah. Now, lenticulars are really neat because there's two different ways that lenticulars work, right? Like they can have like the animated images, they can flicker back and forth between the images, or and that's because you hold a lenticular a certain way, like the little, when you touch a lenticular, you feel the bumps and everything, right?
Yeah. I'm sorry. Yeah, like this one here.
Yeah, and if you touch the lenticular, you'll find like the grain is going in one direction, either up and down or left and right.
Okay.
I think in these flicker images, the
Yeah,
grain
that's
is
right.
probably going left to right. Like it feels more natural to move your finger left and right than it does to go up and down.
Yep, that's right.
Okay. And that's because when it's set up that way, the little tiny little lenticular pieces are feeding your eye. They're feeding both eyes the same image. So there's no depth there in the flicker images. You
Yeah.
just sort of rotate the lenticular and you see one of those images at a time. If take that image that you have there, Ingrid, just take the picture, take the card and look at it sideways. When you look at it sideways, that's a lot harder to look at now, isn't it? Because you're getting two of those images at once now.
Oh, yeah, it
So
is.
that
Look
so
at.
that's the process by how lenticulars can be used for 3D depth as well, is that you'll look at the lenticular and instead of one image at a time, you're getting two images at a time. And that's why when you know how sometimes you might see I don't know, the cover, lenticular cover of like a Marvel movie or something. You look at it and you rotate it a little and you see the images moving and it's like a depth image. That's the idea of what they're doing there.
Okay. So it really these are so it's really actually two different things, but they're also related.
Yeah, yeah, which is I find fascinating.
Yeah, it is actually. I can't wait to see you combine them. I know you can do it.
Yeah. One other idea I've had, which I think is really good, is to take a pinup that somebody would make, um, and let's say they have, let's say it's just like a madman here, but picture like a solid rectangle of color behind him and then white everywhere else. What I would love to do would be to just keep him flat so that he's not affected by the 3D red and cyan color separations. Keep that part flat and normal, but just have like, I don't know, like a fish behind him. I could put that fish in depth as part of that background of color, or I could also float things in front of the page so that by and large it's unaffected, but it's just, I call it like augmented reality or augmented 3D. So it's not a complete 3D picture, but you just have little pieces of it that
Well, that's
if
really
you
cool.
yeah, so if you don't have the glasses on, it doesn't affect things too much. But if you do have it on, it's like, oh, there's like something going snaking around behind him or coming out a little bit.
That's a lot of fun if you don't know it's there until you put the glasses on.
Yeah. And
Surprise.
if it's not intrusive. And that's something
Mm,
I'd have to work with artists, like to produce a 3D image. And I
Mm.
find that's the hardest part is that I don't want to get out there and approach people too much because I'm usually already working on something.
Mm.
So I don't want to commit myself to more
You can
time.
only do one thing at a time.
Yeah, yeah. I would find that really fun to work on.
Is there anything else you'd like to explain about the process or anything? I would normally, ask a lot more questions, but because I don't really know all that much about it, well,
Well, since I'm info dumping anyway, let's talk about another way of converting images into 3D, and that's called depth maps. Every once in a while, if you look into 3D, you might find a black and white picture that you don't understand because it's just black and white and it just looks like a sequence of shadows almost. What's going on is that inst in addition to like the cutting and the layering method that I've discussed, you could take this image and just sort of flatten it. And what the black and white does is that after it's processed, the computer will know that anything that's like dark black will come out towards the camera, and anything that's pure white will go far, far, far away from the camera. And the different shades of gray will mean different levels of depth. Do you know what I mean?
Mhm.
So like a dark gray will still be closer. Uh, a mid-level gray will be page level, and then like lighter grays will start receding and looking farther away.
okay.
So I've seen really talented conversionists use those depth maps to make conversions. Now, I wish I was better at depth maps because those can then generate multiple 3D images. Like I work really hard to create the second image, and that's it. I have my two images. With the depth map method, the computer can then generate A, B, C, D, E, F so that as a lenticular, it'll rotate back and forth.
Okay.
And
Mm.
that depth map method also makes it, I'm not going to say easy, but easier for people to make the movie conversions as well. I,
Oh,
that's generally the method that's going to work because it's automated and it can process things. Because
is
I
that
couldn't imagine trying to take every single still frame from a movie and cutting it into 3D, moving it around. That's not going to work.
so are you going to try and is this something you're going to try to incorporate into your work?
No, I'm going to try to cheat. I think there are programs that can take the 2D, or the layers of depth, and I might be able to like push them around that way. I think as technology gets better, I've experimented with this before. I can take my two images and the computer can generate a depth map out of it.
Okay.
If I I'll look at what it does, but it's not perfect. It's not all the way there yet. It like I might generate a depth maps, but then when it works, the yo-yo that I pictured going out is just sort of part of the yo-yo is now stuck to the person instead in some of the view. So it's not perfect, but
Oh, I'm still at a loss a little bit, but I would really like if you could send me a bunch of links so that people can go and explore a little bit.
Hmm.
I think it would be so cool to have more 3D cards and yeah, well, Anaglyph. Is Anaglyph and 3D the same thing?
Yeah, anaglyph is when you have the image with the red and the blue streaks everywhere that looks weird without your glasses on. So
Okay.
that's called anaglyph. Free view, of course, is like when you have two images side by side. And the types of free view are parallel or cross view.
Okay. So yeah, because of course, I don't collect all kinds of cards, but I don't see very many Anaglyph cards in sets. And it's shocking how much fun they are actually. So it would be really cool to get people to go and take a look at some of the images. So um, remind everyone again where they can go on your site to at least see the one that you have up.
Yeah, that's at 3dcomics.ca. I think it's under portfolio where I have some examples and I need to get better at putting more examples up there. I'm a
Please.
little shy because of everything I do is has been a project for other people. So I feel like I don't have the permission or authority to, to put someone's IP up there. But, I really should just go ahead and put a lot of pictures there and then let someone ask me to take it down later if they have to.
Most people enjoy having the stuff in as many places as possible. If you're not profiting off it, it's just
Yeah.
advertising, isn't it?
Yeah, exactly.
Should be okay.
Yeah.
You put everybody's name who created it and stuff like that.
Oh, for sure, for sure.
Um, I think you've probably answered all our questions, I think, so far. Again, I would really, really like people to actually go and see. I know some people are familiar with it, but I also know a lot of people are not. So it would be really cool to send people somewhere where they can go and look and get their heads around it. Excuse me, and just learn more about it because there should be anaglyph cards in every set. Just too cool.
Yeah, and just when you're if this fascinates you and if you're listening to this and you get into it and you're learning more about it, like be understanding if it doesn't make sense at first, because as bizarre as it sounds, learning how to do 3D is like learning how to see again. Like it's understanding why depth works the way that it does. Like when we don't have the 3D glasses on, we just have our two eyeballs and we're looking around. We don't have to actively do anything, right? We're just seeing automatically. It comes natural. When you're looking at the depth in 3D, if I wanted to, I could do impossible things like have a piece of the image that should be floating up towards the front. I can make it look like it's very far away in the back, and you can never trick your eyes that way unless you're I
Wow.
guess occasionally something might glitch and you might see something in the wrong depth until your eyes focus. But yeah, you can actually make so many mistakes in 3D and put things in the wrong places and it'll look bad because it's not natural.
And the brain's amazing, really, isn't it? I was reading something a while ago. I don't know too much about it, but people who haven't been brought up seeing 2D images, they wouldn't be able to like look at a photo of a lion and identify that as a lion.
Mm.
They can't, because we've trained ourselves right from being little
Mm.
with books and 2D images. We
Oh,
can recognize these things that are flat, but if you haven't, you only recognize the 3D. I thought that was fascinating.
wow.
Yeah.
Mm. Yeah, we don't realize what we've trained ourselves to see and do we?
Oh,
Yeah. I find fascinating too the idea, I think it might have been Japan for centuries. They didn't have separate words for green and blue. It was just one
mhm.
color to them.
Wow,
Yeah, and I think
amazing.
if I have that info wrong, because there's so much misinformation out there, I want
Mm.
to
Yeah,
put it out
you
there
have to
like,
double check everything, don't you?
yeah, double check what I'm saying just to make sure this is real. But yeah, it is kind of fascinating that like they are very similar colors, of course, and
Mm.
people just think of them as the same thing.
Brown and
Mm.
green are two other colors that sometimes under one light, green will look brown, and under another light, the brown will look green.
Yeah,
Well, you can see the brain tricks that you find online. Like there's the two boxes. and they're the same color,
Mhm.
exactly the same color, but because of the shapes, we automatically see a shadow, and they look different. But you put
Oh
them
yeah.
next to each other, it's the same color.
Yeah.
They're crazy.
I love it though when they take that type of optical illusion and they'll say
Mm.
they'll have like a picture a box that looks really big and a box that looks really small.
Mm.
And
Oh,
Yeah,
yeah.
that
I,
as
I
well.
love I love it though when someone says, actually no, this one is bigger and this one is larger. Are you dumb? Like they are different sizes. It's obvious. And they just sort of take the piss out of the those.
So do you have links to anywhere else that you could send people to explore and look and where can they find 3D glasses? Where can they go to look? Because I think you can actually just do the 3D thing on your computer too, if you
Yeah,
have
definitely.
the prepared image, of course.
Yeah. Yeah, I'll do my best to send you some links so that you can share that in the show notes.
Please, please, yes. I think people should go take a look and it's I mean, I grew up in the 60s and there was some 3D, like Lindsay was saying. But most of it that I remember, I do remember having my mind blown a little bit by a few images, but I don't remember what the images were anymore. But all in all, I can't say that it was like, oh my God, that's the most amazing thing ever. No. But when I saw what you have been doing with some of the cards, well, then my mind was a little bit blown.
It's
So
funny too, because like when Richard and I will work on cards together, like the whole experience that he wants to give his audience is to be able to look at a card and like put the glasses on and say, "Whoa, that's really cool." And then just don't spend your whole day looking at this thing. Just like get a little thrill and just put it down and look at the next one and get a little thrill. And if it's really cool, spend a little more time looking at it and just letting your eyes play on that image that you're looking at.
it gets you to put your phone down for a while too.
Yeah. The best thing I can say about what I do is that and again this sounds super conceitful and I don't mean it to, but I want to think that if someone's has the 3D glasses on and is looking at a 3D comic or a 3D illustration, that they're spending more time to soak in the artwork and appreciate it. Especially with comic books, you read a panel and you flip to the next panel and you read the next panel and you flip the page and you're just going through it at like a rapid pace. But you
A lot of the comics I really like, I've read 4 or 5 times through because you are reading at a fast pace and you want to have a proper look at the artwork, and there might be
Yeah.
a little bit of story you skipped over that you couldn't be bothered with at the time because you wanted to get back to the story. So yeah, definitely.
Yeah. And that because the artists spend so much time creating those different panels and illustrations.
Mm.
It's
They
not,
deserve to be looked at and appreciated, don't they?
they do. And I would love to think that with the 3D, you're spending that much more time appreciating that artwork and soaking it in. Which
Mm.
again, you can do that without the 3D glasses, of course. But it's just I'm sort of tricking you into spending more time with that illustration.
Perhaps an illustration that you might not have thought as much of, but with the 3D, well, then you're like, well, that is kind of cool, and you consider things. I think
My
that's
God, like my favorite things in 3D are so unimportant. Like there could be a picture of like a dragon with its yeah, actually in the Tempest book, The League of Extraordinary Gentlemen, there's a 3D panel that we did where there's a dragon with its mouth open and there's all these rows of teeth and all the teeth are individual layers and it's you can see into its mouth and down its gullet and everything.
Wow.
But next to that, there's a guy with he's just wearing a pair of shorts. And I'm like, yeah, I angled that pair of shorts perfectly. I nailed that. That's so good. There's like, I had nothing to work with in the original because it's pointed right at the camera. But no, I gave depth to that pair of shorts. It's a little nutty what I will be fascinated by in 3D compared to the focal point that you should be fascinated by.
not about the teeth. No, it's the shorts.
Yeah, yeah,
It's done the glitz and glam. It's about other things now.
yeah.
Well, thank you so much for taking the time to explore all of this. I know you need to get to work. Um, I'll include all those links in the show notes, and I really hope you continue your experiments. And perhaps you'll come back when you have some new things to show us and stuff like that, and more examples on your website.
Yeah, that'd be a lot of fun. I'll try to get that updated by the time the show goes up as well. So people
So,
can see what I did.
you have done a lot of 3D cards for our Parks cards.
Mhm.
You've done a couple for mine now, but they're not out yet. Have you done for anyone else?
Yeah, Christopher Irving, after the 80-page special came out, we did.
Comic books, yes.
Yeah,
No other
so
trading cards?
yeah, so the book, like this would be the 3D front of the card, and this would be the copy on the back of it,
See, yes.
that sort of thing. I've done a few more, but again, my mind is scattered this morning, and I apologize to the
Totally
other
fine.
wonderful, amazing people that I've worked with doing cards that I'm not shouting out their name. I will correct that in the show notes.
Totally
Yeah, we're
fine.
all tired this morning. Don't judge us this morning.
Oh, it's really early today. People don't know that, but it's super early. So yeah, again, thank you for doing that, for getting up early and all of that. And
No, it's been a pleasure, and thank you for letting me go on and on at length.
oh no, it's been fascinating, something I don't know anything about. Well, we'll leave it at that. We'll have lots in the show notes, excuse me, to share. And thank you again. And thank you, Lindsay, too. I hope you learned something so that you can create art for someone's set and we'll turn all your cats into 3Ds and stuff like that.
Awesome. Oh, it was lovely to meet you, Christian.
Yes, you too,
Have a
Lindsay.
great day.
Okay, thank you again, and